Hello. We would like to inform you that Tornado has been included in... I remember this. They've added all of the starting ego gifts. Anyway, greetings and salutations everyone. I'm Mekamek, this is Limbus Company. We have regular maintenance information. This. A refund for Honglu Dimension Shredder. 260 in thread, 100 in Honglu. Frigging hell, I thought I had waited long enough for the rain to stop, but I can't really hold off on recording any further. So yeah, they've refunded the starlight that I spent. Mirror of Weathering starter buffs. Where was it? Tornado. Oh well, I have 1384 starlight in my possession now. I can spend it however I want. That's not what this episode is about. This episode is about... Oof, we got close but we didn't quite make it to getting any of the radio identities. That's highly unfortunate. No, the actual reason that we want to be here is for these new Pointilism students. We did not get any of them, or at least we didn't get the cool one.
점수는 F. 발로는 듣지 않겠다.
Oh, we got Outis twice. Fortunately, if memory serves, nope I didn't. Everything into Yisang. Oh dear, we still don't have enough, so I guess I'll catch you after a small time skip where I go run my weekly. Hey. Looks like we're going to have to interject right here with something. I'm interjecting here because I'll probably forget to do it later. They added a new option to the Sign of Roses. We can pick a rose, pass the Gluttony and Envy advantage check to gain a Rupture Ego gift, or we can knock down the sign to challenge it to a fight. Just a reminder, this was the Refraction Railway this was the second Refraction Railway boss, so this is gonna be a rough fight. There's no way to tell what it's so desperately trying to share, but it's unlikely it points to anything of worth. You order one of the sinners to knock down the sign, just in case it gets you lost later. The brambles suddenly begin to gather, raising the sign back up. Roses begin to bloom in all directions. Combat encounter. Win the battle to gain Crown of Roses and Respite. No rewards upon defeat. Let's rock.
전투 시작합니다.
So, the gimmick. When Sign is broken, Rose loses max HP. When Core is broken, when Flesh is broken, Core loses max HP. Every turn gain protection equal to the number of sinners with Crown of Thorns in effect. When a Rose is defeated, Core and Flesh lose 30 HP and lose 0.1 resistance to the corresponding sin affinity. This effect can stack. So... he takes 0.5 from all physical damage types and times 1 from all sin types. The first thing he's doing is an unclashable mass attack. On use, apply Crown of Thorns, eliminate all effects on self. If Core has less than 40% HP, Roses will spawn in power-up effects. If attacked while shielded, inflict 1 singing on attacker. Yeah, he's gaining attack power up and defense power up to a random rose next turn. So let's try to be a bit more clever about this. If this is just scratch damage, it would be better off just pummeling this Flesh over here. Granted, we're not doing very much in the way of damage.
전투에 임하겠습니다.
So for each sinner, there is one connected rose. The sin type of these roses depends on what the base sin type is, so we only have one character who has a base sloth skill. Ergo, this sloth drenched rose is connected to Don Quixote. So sloth rose, inflict tremor or tremor count, and on heads hit inflict tremor burst. If attacked while shielded, trigger tremor burst on self and the attacker. If at full blooming sin, enter power-up state for the encounter. During power-up state, inflict one more tremor with skill effects. If killed, inflict tremor count to all allies. When hit, gain 5 protection unless staggered. Envy Drenched Rose. Gain charge count or spend charge count. If starting a turn in power-up state, inflict one more charge skill. If killed, apply full charge count to all enemies. Lust Drenched Rose. Inflict bleed and inflict bleed count. Oh, lower user's stagger threshold by damage dealt as well. During power-up state, inflict more bleed. If killed during power-up state, inflict bleed count to allies. In a clash, final power -2. In unopposed attack, final power +2. Pride Rose over here. It has a counter skill. It mainly focuses on poise. If starting a turn in a power-up state, gain one more poise with skill effects. If killed, apply poise count to all enemies. Wrath. Wrath is the dangerous one, so let's save it for a little bit. This Gloom Drenched Rose. As you'd expect, it inflicts sinking. If attacked while shielded, inflicts sinking count on self and attacker. During power-up state, inflict one more sinking with skill effects. If killed during power-up state, inflict sinking count to all allies. When hit, Gloom Resist turns into Gloom Weak, gain 5 protection. Interesting. But the deadly one is Wrath. So, it inflicts burn and burn count. When hit by a direct hit, return the damage to attacker. Inflict 5 burn. This can absolutely screw you over if you're hitting it with a powerful nuke skill. During power-up state, inflict one more burn with skill effects. If killed during power-up state, inflict 4 burn count to allies. When hit, gain offense level up and defense level down. So right away, we need to finagle it so we hit that guy with... Actually, there's one more thing to point out. Generate a rose unit whose affinity corresponds to the most known skill affinity of the target inflicted with this effect. Blah blah blah. Basically, it's saying that because sloth, sloth, lust, lust, gloom, gloom, wrath to wrath. I believe your skill is pride, so you're connected to that pride. And envy to envy. Now here's the dangerous thing about these guys. At the start of the turn, gain 1 count. The connected identity loses HP equal to 25% of max HP. We lose 10% of our lust resources. The Sign of Roses heals 5% of max HP. At 4 count, instantly kill Ryoshu, and we lose all of our lust resources. So we are basically on a 3-turn time limit. If we can't kill it before the 4th turn, then it will kill the corresponding sinner. So all that said, I need to do some finagling. Now here's the question. Can I get this? Yes, I can. So by targeting everyone onto these skill slots, I force her AoE effect to skip over the sign of roses, so now we can target them properly. They will always be weak to the same type of sin affinity they have. Do I have one that I've killed before? Yes, but not with sloth skills. I must have run into them on a different team. Right, here we go. It's weak to pride and ineffective to everything else. Oh, by the way, you remember at the start of the episode where it said we gave out a refund to Dimension Shredder? Turns out they reset my Dimension Shredder even though I didn't want the refund, so I'll have to fix that.
내 앞을 막을 자는 없어. 달려라 루신한테. 정의는 승리한다.
Now that was practically an insta-kill.
당신을 인도해주지 못해도 따뜻하게 안아줄
Now
수
this
있어.
shouldn't retaliate damage onto Ishmael. It also shouldn't have been targeting the boss there. Weird.
다음 세상으로 넘어가려면 자, 여기구나.
모두가 너를 잊어도 반드시 되찾을 거다.
What do you wish for? The sign asks the sinners. A rose can only bloom when you clearly wish for something. The heavier your sins, the deeper the colour of the petals will be. See? Wish. Wish for it, knowing that is a sin. Only then can you bloom such colourful roses. You have to bloom the roses. You want to escape this garden, don't you? Let us help you. Let me help you. Our only wish is that our garden will bloom full of flowers. Now, what will you do? If you refuse, then all damage taken and dealt will be reduced. If we accept, then it will increase damage taken for the successful skill type. All affinities advantage. What colour would you like to dye the petals in? So, yeah, we have a lot of nasty scratches now. This will give us a Wrath bonus. This will give us a Pride bonus. This gives out Bloom. This gives us the Envy bonus. We probably want to pick that one, but yeah. Whatever sin type wins is the sin type that will gain a damage bonus. Ah, how pretty. And so vivid too. Your sin was such a beautiful hue of envy. You've really made a fine addition to this garden. The colour of envy? I'll plant it right next to me. Then, shall we play some more? This garden will become terribly beautiful with more sinful flowers we bloom. All characters deal 10% more damage with envy, but they also take 10% more damage.
완수했어요.
Every time we kill a flower, we're going to get that event. So, thankfully, the red flower is dead. Unfortunately, Ishmael some of our characters are about to stagger because we didn't finish them off properly. And because we killed flowers, the boss itself is kind of upset. Okay, that should finish off the flowers this turn.
환상의 세계로 들어가 보죠.
Oh boy, it's scratch damage, but what do you expect when he's got 3 protection? And physical resistance to all physical types.
정신이 물러 터졌군요.
Oof! Yeah, a single scratch and Don Quixote is getting staggered. We're also at 3 count, so we have to kill it this turn. Fortunately, it's not going to be that very difficult to do at 3 HP, I just have to make sure that I don't do something silly like forget to attack it.
신속히 처리하죠.
Now, you should be weak to envy, so... apparently not that weak. What do you wish for? Skip this thing. Accept again. Kinda wanna try out Gloom, but let's just go for another Envy bonus. Our team does its best with its Envy attacks, right? Attack weight 3. Power plus 2 for each surviving rose. If there are no surviving roses, self-apply to Fragile. Gain 30 core HP on hit. And since that's an attack weight of 3 and is using the same thing twice, that would be 180 HP back, which is not an insignificant number. Okay, we're going to have to blow an ego for this, I think. Concentrated fire could do it. But maybe I really should have gone for the Gloom roll because I think Gloom is a more common damage type. There we go, we've staggered the body parts, so now our attacks should be doing a lot more. Well, to that side, not so much to this side.
신속히 처리하죠.
And we're not done yet. We've still got plenty of muscle work to get through for this Neuro Dungeon. But we'll get to the Pointilism IDs soon. So, Crown of Roses. Inflict 4 Rupture Potency on a random enemy. When activating Gluttony Absolute Resonance, which isn't going to happen on this team, inflict 2 Rupture Potency on all enemies at combat start. And activate upon winning a clash with a skill that inflicts bleed or count or unique bleed. Inflict bleed count by the number of remaining coins to the target. Gain offense level equal to the value next turn. If we have 2 or less, use number of remaining coins plus 3 to calculate instead. Interesting, but we're not going to get it on this team.
쉽게 더러워지는 걸 몰라서 우리가 하얀 옷을 입는 것이 아니다. 작품이 끝났을 때 온갖 색으로 칠해진 옷은 그것대로 감상할 가치가 있는 예술이기 때문이지.
Okay, we're back. Exhausted myself trying to get through the mirror dungeon, but we are back. And we now can afford to grab Ring Pointless Student Yi Sang.
그대께서 새로운 영감을 불러와 주시겠는가? 그렇지 않다면 특별히 흥미가 생기진 않네만.
Perfectly posed wing photo painting back there, I'm noticing. Anyway, with that out of the way, we can now finally have a look at their new identity stories. So, Ring Pointless Student. Lust Skill 1, inflict bleed on hit both times, but only for heads hits. That rolls a max of 10, so I can't say it's impressive. She also has a plus 0, plus 0 offense level on her Skill 1, and a -2 defense level. That's not impressive. She does get a plus 1 on her guard though. And for skill 2, on hit, 20% chance to reuse hit coin once, 20% more chance to reuse coin for every type of negative effect on the target. On hit, inflict 1 bleed count. That's her skill 2's second coin. And this one has also offense level 0. Great. So let's up-tie her. If target has 6 bleed, gain clash power. And she now bleeds on hit. If target has 6 plus bleed clash power. When reusing coin with this unit's coin effects, inflict 1 more bleed count. Combat start, inflict 2 potency for one of the following effects on the enemy with the least negative effects. Burn, bleed, tremor, rupture, or sinking. Effects selected at random. In focused encounters, it's just a part. So then, let's see, she gains a haste boost to outright, going from 2 to 5 to 3 to 6. Skill gained, artwork inspection. Deal 10% more damage for every type of negative effect on the target to a maximum of 30%. Plus 2 offense level. Apply haste next turn to 2 allies adjacent to this unit on the dashboard. On hit, inflict 3 bleed and 3 potency for one of the following effects. Burn, bleed, tremor, rupture, or sinking. Effects selected at random. If the target is staggered or defeated, apply pierce damage up next turn to one other ally with the highest SP. Increase the base power to 11 for her skill 1. Increase the base power. So yeah, we can cap at 11 here, and here it goes up to 13. But there's also nothing interesting tied to that. Rough Sketch. One ally with the least SP heals 4 SP when defeating an enemy with bleed. Heal 1 additional SP for every type of negative effect on the target. That doesn't seem very interesting to me, I'm sorry. Defeating enemies isn't something that's easily done. And you have to get 4 lust for it.
점이 모여 만드는 빛과 그림자의 미학을 이해하고 있나? 모른다면 지금부터라도 숙지해라.
Incorrect. The use of pointilism techniques will greatly reinforce this area. Going by the Forvist's methodology, as you have suggested, would give far too little detail on the left side of the frame. What, is your tasteless animal mask blurring your vision? Is it so hard to see that your technique will make the final piece imbalanced? Is that all you can glean from the striking use of primary colours? Should have known better than to expect even an ounce of nuance from a dotting machine of the pointilists. A dotting machine? Ha! We depict the flow of light without letting garish colours and overcomplicated lines crowd the image. It is not mechanical, it's merely rational. Okay, so it sounds like Ring students will actually get into slight verbal sparring over their techniques used. Not everyone in the Ring is a pointillist. The exquisite rendering of depth, I dare say that our methodology philosophy embodies what constitutes true artistry. This is a rather common sight among members of the Ring. While this collaborative effort clearly allowed for more communication between them and made room for new inspirations and positive feedback, to be a part of the Ring is to be prideful. These conversations rarely did ever end amicably. For some reason I want to add an amicably. Fine. Let's talk about depth then. When you say the works of us cubics, which seek to incorporate and hold the three-dimensionality with a single gaze, far surpass anything that your faction could come up with in that regard? Fine, I'll admit there is a certain depth to cubist art. But such unmitigated deconstruction of your subjects. Now that brings with it the unintuitiveness, doesn't it? The child's taunts kicked the proverbial hornet's nest. The atelier quickly turned into a chaotic mess. A chaotic mess of indignant and intense arguments about the artistic and technical superiority of each of the factions. In the midst of that chaos, the Forvist from earlier suddenly asked the child a rather pointed question. So you claim that Pointilism art stands above that of every other faction? Is that it? I believe you are misrepresenting the severity of my assertions. In truth, my belief that the work of each maestro is incomparable to one another in their ineffable profoundness, regardless of which faction they represent. I wouldn't even dare to discuss the notion of objective superiority of one art over the other. The child added the last bit in an effort to douse the flames she started. After all, this was a group project. She had to work with people from other factions to complete this task. I merely suggested we make use of our technique as we work on the rough sketch of our project. I mean no disrespect to the other factions. Besides, our deadline is coming up and these unproductive arguments are costing us precious time. We don't want to miss the deadline, do we? Right, I don't even want to think about what had happened. Good, we're in agreement. Then we should at least get through the rough sketch first. All of you quit gawking and return to your positions. Let's get it done. If there was one thing everyone in the room agreed on, it was that they did not want to miss the deadline. They all quickly returned to their seats, lightly trembling from the sheer thought of the consequences. It was a pretty weak defense, but it was precisely what she needed to say to divert people away from this argument. After all, it was true that they didn't have much time to complete the task. Failing to meet the deadline would be extremely unpleasant, to say the least. Besides, she had other responsibilities to attend to, aside from this particular task. Next, she isn't always the student getting her work graded. Her other responsibility was to grade the shabby artwork of countless civilians who crowded to be under the Ring's protection. This isn't art, this is nothing more than a bloody mess. I can't even tell what you were trying to do here. No, please look closer, there's... The child reached out and wiped the blood off the artwork with her hand. Once the wet blood was wiped clean, she could see the painting the civilian drew using his own blood. Did you really think that this uninspired garbage would earn you the protection of the Ring? Please, please, this is literally all I... The child spits heartlessly at the civilian who could barely stand due to severe anemia. I won't hear any more excuses. I'm failing you. For the third time. The civilian's face turned even paler. He knew the consequences of failing for the third time. First failure, a warning. Second failure, withdrawal of the ring's protection. And third failure, any last words? I'll paint over it, please, I can improve it. Just give me a chance. Oh, you're going to paint over this art you presented before me as complete? I don't need to waste any more time on someone who doesn't even have an ounce of pride for their own work. The child picked up the large weapon she had left leaning on the wall and slowly brought it toward the civilian who was sobbing and screaming with terror. It needn't be said that the civilian was never seen nor heard from again. Next. Not bad. I see some potential there. I'll give you a C+. Thank you, civilian. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. What's this now? You made a sculpture with your son's amputated arms? How bland. She rarely ever takes more than 10 seconds to review and grade each submission. Of course, many protest her quick evaluations, but all she can think about is her own unfinished task waiting for her back at the atelier. She has to get this business over with as soon as possible. Perhaps the civilian standing in line felt the child's cold gaze. The civilian holds his amputated son in his arms and awaits the child's assessment. His eyes are shut tight in terrified anticipation. And the child's judgment was as merciless as the civilian had expected. Failing grade. Okay, if we get her to up tie 4, if target has 10 bleed, gain coin power +1. If target has 6 bleed, clash power +1. 40% chance for the coin reuse. 20% more chance for the coin reuse for every type of negative effect. 2 times max per skill. So that means you have to get them to 3 different types of ailment in order to get the perfect reuse. And that can roll pretty high, but I think I'd prefer Pekoji Seng's version of getting those coin reuses. If target has 6+ bleed, coin power +1, deal 12.5% more damage for every negative effect to a maximum of 50%. That's 4. If the affected ally is a member of the ring, gain PS power up as well. What fun! If target is 10+ bleed, coin power +7. At the moment it's just coin power +3, so that does become a pretty potent guard, but I don't like guard skills. Anyway, let's check out what Yi Seng has to show about his art. So, he finally gets a lust skill. Finally! So skill 1, paint over, gloom. This looks like a pretty bad skill 1. Paint over. 2 base power +2 coin power, 3 coins. That sets him up at 8. Ouch. On heads hit, inflict 2 count. Oh thank goodness, I was afraid it would just be 1. For one of the following effects: burn, bleed, tremor, rupture, or sinking. Effect selected at random. On a heads hit on skill 3, inflict 2 bleed. So you'll only have 1 rupture or 1 sinking left. That's a little unfortunate. And on hit 3, inflict 2 bleed. Skill 2. Ooh, now that's an impressive skill 2. +3 offense level. 7 + 8. So that's about a 15 on his skill 2. That's pretty nice. And with the 3 offense level, that's also pretty nice. On hit, 20% chance to reuse the coin once. So you aren't allowed to build up a lot of momentum like Outis does. On hit, inflict bleed count and +2 count for one of the following effects: burn, bleed, rupture, tremor, sinking. Effects selected at random. Does that kind of sound like he's going... I feel like the rupture and the sinking and all these random effects just feel more like flavor than anything else, because they aren't going to stick around for long unless you've got a full party that just so happens to roll the same type. Anyway, uptight, we get his speed from 2 to 6 to 3 to 6. Paint over becomes an on hit as opposed to heads hit. Sanguine Pointilism gains clash power if the target has 6 bleed, and 3 count for the following effects. Okay, that's nice. On hit, if the target has 6 bleed, heal 2 SP. Heal 1 additional SP for every type of negative effect on the target. If this unit's SP is max, gain 1 offense level next turn when this unit heals SP. This passive activates 4 times per turn. Okay. Let me think. Yeah, that could actually get to be pretty impressive. So then, he goes from 3 to 6 to 3 to 7. Skill gained, Thematic Coloring, 3 offense level. If target has 6 plus bleed, clash power +1. Inflict 1 bleed count. If the target has 4 types of negative effects, inflict 2 additional bleed count. Inflict +3 count for one of the following effects: burn, bleed, tremor, rupture, or sinking. Effects selected at random. Inflict a bleed. If target has 4 types of negative effects, inflict 2 additional bleed. And then 2 potency for one of the random effects. On coin 4, deal 15% more damage for every type of negative effect on target. So even if it throws in a sinking or rupture here, then it should be helping out. 75% though, that's 5 effects. After attack, if the target is staggered or defeated, inflict 2 potency for one of the following effects on one enemy with the least types of negative effects: burn, bleed, tremor, rupture, and sinking. Which effect is selected at random? Paint over gains 1 coin power, so that's actually 11. That's pretty cool, but nothing interesting after that. Sanguine Pointilism gains 8 base power, so it goes 16, 24. Nice. And support passive. One ally with the least SP heals 2 SP on hit for every type of negative effect on the target. This passive activates 2 times max per turn. So very clearly balanced so that Ishmael's new ego attack isn't getting overpowered by this.
아하, 그대도 평가의 순간이 궁금했어. 이리 와보시게. 볼만한 것들을 몇 개 짚어드리지.
The nature of art is what shatters like diffuse reflection of radiance upon the irregular surfaces of fragmented mirror shards. It is labyrinthine, unpredictable, completely devoid of any plainly coherent pattern, and unfathomably beautiful. Because anything can be painted, and any sense of imagination brought forth to reality. Even things beyond our ken may be conceived and used as inspiration through the lens of art created by others. Thus, choosing the ring and the path of art was a decision most wise. Perhaps my life itself has been living artistry from its inception. My interests were as diverse as the 7 colors of light spectrum, fanning and radiating in all directions like shattering rays of a diffuse reflection upon an irregular surface. Yet, the life of fixation with a single subject, technology, sitting in conferences after conferences of mediocre, predictable discoveries, that was never the kind of life I deserved. Thus, it was by great fortune that the Pointilists approached me and thought to offer a place among their ranks. A universe of infinity held within a singular dot, thus a collection of dots, a collection of infinities does it become, a concentration of dots, a concentration of universes, and birthed anew is yet another ineffably vast universe. The Pointilists create art I could behold and ponder for all eternity. My attraction to it must have been written before it came to be. The graceful title of Student of the Ring gave me fabricated wings of freedom and unbound my potential. What laughably witless days I have endured! My wings were there all along, only waited to be painted into existence by my hands. My infantine, childish self could never have reached this understanding with its juvenile fascination with tinkering with frivolous machine parts together. Ah, how regrettable they are, the days I have wasted in utter inanity. The days I have wasted away in a heedless haze, believing every mired hour I had spent there to be my fate. Thus wielded in my palms is my great brush, a tool with which I shall mould and transform my past. The pointless past is burned as sacrifice for art. What was once perceived to be of no worth is moulded into beauty in an instant. I am but a student of the ring, yet should I trace the steps of the maestros who have created countless masterpieces, my very own skills shall grow to its apex ere long. Ah, my heart is now lightened. I should now be able to participate in this assignment evaluation with a mind unburdened. It takes little time before I find myself at the evaluation site. A group of people standing uneasily among various revolting artwork that inspire nothing but utter confusion. They plead and plead, knocking fervently at my heart so their voices may be heard. Yet, to my ears, they are merely inaudible murmurs, nothing more than bothersome noise. The noise is likely an amalgamation of desperate attempts at receiving a passing grade. But they each receive a failing grade nonetheless. It is all pointless. Yet, indeed, the lack of meaning signifies not the lack of answers. I gather the terrified civilians, inform them that I shall now bequeath upon them a holistic critique of their works. Indeed, a critique of this collaborative effort. Of course, each of their work is a result of individual effort. Yet should their work be assisted by my artistic eye, unripe as it is, then it shall make for quite the excellent collaborative piece of art. Some of their faces contort with a clear look of bewilderment. Ah, a moment of utter ideality, a universally shared look of shock would have been so plain. And with such joy, such delight, I wield my great paintbrush and rapidly pierce it into my ingredients, marking each of them with dots. Explosive splashes of red paint. Shock, fear, panic and desperation. I behold so many final sentiments fade as they drop to the cold floor in all its unconscious amorphousness, with no more mind to guide the flesh. My heart swells with this excellent presentation. They have prepared for me such a beautiful collaborative effort when even I, as a mere spectator, was allowed to partake in its beauty. How could I give them anything else but a review most glowing? Thus I rate this artwork A+. Oh boy, people were definitely going on about Yandia Yi Seng here. So, we can't get him to up tie 4, but what could it have done? Clash Power +1 for 6+ bleed is not very interesting. Clash Power +1 for every 3 bleed, Coin Power +1 for every bleed count. The problem is that because bleed depletes on the target, we don't have much in the way of bleed count application outside of mirror dungeons. He might actually need to hang out in an N-core team to get the full power here. And hey, he does have a lust skill now, so he could get along with an N-core team. So, on hit, 40% chance to reuse coin, with 20% for the reuse coin for every type of negative effect, to a maximum of 2 times per skill. On hit, flip, etc, etc. Clash Power +1 for every 3 bleed, Coin Power +1 for every 3 bleed counts, so I want to figure that out. That's a +5. 23 with a clash power of 25 is not a small amount. The problem is that it does mean that you need to target. I feel like it is going to struggle to actually hit that cap with enemies dropping bleed count. If target has 3 types of negative effects, deal 25% more damage for every negative effect. 5 hits the max. After attack, if target is staggered or defeated, inflict on 2 enemies with the least types of negative effects. Beat the brush. It does give him a Lust Guard skill. Base power for every 1 bleed on target to a maximum of 10, so he could actually get this pretty high. But still, guard skills have the problem of matching against. It's really bad to have a guard skill when you're blunt weak. Was there anything else? Yes, his passives upgrade. Combat passive enhance. Assignment evaluation. On hit, if the target has 4 bleed, heal 2 SP. If the unit's SP is at max, gain 2 offense level 4 times per turn. Ouch, that's going to be a lot of offense level. One ally with the least SP heals 2 SP on hit. If target has bleed, heal 3 additional SP. This passive activates 2 times per turn. Okay, so the Pointilist students are as messed up as we'd have expected them to be. Go figure. Anyway, yeah, I'll see you all around, guys. Till next time, take care.
이른 시간부터 소란스럽게 굴지 마라.
가판! 노닥거리지 말고 위치로 가서. 비록 반지 한 바퀴짜리의 수습생이라 한들 제법 챙겨야 할 일은 많소. 마에스트로께서 내려주시는 과제를 충실히 해내고 주민들이 내놓는 실없는 작품을 평가해야만 하지.